Things continue to get crazier for the Canucks as Elliotte Friedman reveals the shocking truth behind Elias Pettersson's recent struggles and last practice's heated exchange. And Rick Tocchet speaks on Petey's early struggles and how to get him going and get him back to the Petey that we know and love. We're going to be breaking down all of that in this episode of Canucks Digest, but first make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss any updates surrounding the Canucks as we finally head into a home game facing the Pittsburgh Penguins this weekend. And with that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is sales versus service. So on 32 Thoughts today, Elliotte Friedman was speaking with Kyle Bukauskas, talking about how the Canucks and Elias Pettersson, after signing him to last year to a multi-year extension, felt that as great as Pettersson is, they needed him to be tougher. Also explaining how it could be a case of the sales versus service theory or tactic that is applied in everyday business across the world. And he said that they're giving him tough love but controlled. They didn't want the task of making him tougher to be up to the management group. They believe in their player leadership group. They say you guys are the ones that have to do it. Friedman says JT Miller is obviously taking that very literally, but there have also been off-ice conversations, and Friedman thinks Quinn Hughes has been involved too. There are limits. You can't go too far. So this is quite the bombshell coming out where a lot of people thought this was just a routine kind of practice scrap. It happens all the time. We saw it happen with Joshua and Garland last year, and look where that got them as far as their success. And now heading into this year, it seems like it might be a little bit deeper. And we kind of poked at that in our last video. We're saying how this could be a bit deeper. It could be JT Miller just trying to get Petey going. He knows it's been a rough start. And it seems like this is just backing up exactly that. It makes sense when you have Petey. Yes, a lot of people are saying that JT Miller is just an assistant captain, but it's not just that. There are three leaders of this team. There's Quinn Hughes as the captain, JT Miller as the assistant captain, and Elias Pettersson as the second assistant captain. What you need to have success, you need all three of those leaders on the same page and all of them clicking and doing their jobs to the maximum so that everyone else can follow suit and set the example for them. Now, within that, you have two different kinds of leaders. You have JT Miller, who, like we talked about, has a high expectation of what success is. He's an ultimate competitor. He hates to lose more than he loves to win. That's what you want. We said how when they lose, he takes all the blame, and when they win, he takes none of the credit. He's everything you want in a hockey player, in a leader, and in an athlete. And then you have Quinn Hughes as well. He's all of those things as well, but he is more of the soft-spoken side of it. He's more of the rational side, whereas JT Miller is the extreme. It's almost like a good cop, bad cop, or when you have the mom and dad in the marriage where the dad is a bit more stern and the mom is a bit more understanding. It seems like that's the dynamic that they almost have here, where Petey is just their kid that they have to wrangle in and say, listen, we need you to get back on track, because if you get back on track, everyone else around you gets back on track as well and just plays that much tougher. It's hard to play your butt off when you're one of your three leaders and one of the three pillars of this team is struggling to get going and get back to his former self. But one thing Elliotte did say too is that he's heard from one source that Pettersson's friends send him social media stuff too, which is the worst. And someone did have fun with this on Twitter, mentioning that what someone might have said to Petey and his reaction. And that kind of could be what's going on in Petey's head when he's playing these games. That just blank stare where it's just like, oh no, things are just falling off the rails. But Friedman did come to the rescue on Petey and saying, I think there is still a great player there, and we've got to get that back out of him. He was talking about how when Petey first came over to North America to play for the Vancouver Canucks, how he just exploded on the scene, the life and the naivete that he had playing in those games. That seems to be gone just somehow overnight. If those people in his circle are showing him that, he needs to cut them out immediately. There is no place for that in your social circle if you are a professional athlete or if you are anybody trying to be successful in life. You need to have the solid circle of people around you to make sure that they are keeping you grounded, keeping you humble, but also motivating you and making sure that they are supporting you. Does not seem like Pettersson has that, but he does have his teammates, and they are trying to do whatever they can to make sure that happens. I also don't put too much blame on management for this, because it makes sense. If management steps in, then people are going to blow it out of proportion, make it a bigger story than it is. But even how we saw in last video, where a lot of people's reaction to it was, it's just a practice scrum, it happens all the time. Maybe that's what the Canucks wanted as well. They didn't want the media to blow it out of proportion, because if it was something where Patrik Allvin or Jim Rutherford were stepping into this, or Rick Tocchet himself, everyone would be going after it. Everyone would be talking about it in the media, and everyone would be just going crazy with what it could mean because someone so high up stepped in on an issue like this. However, if it's settled between the players, it keeps it civil, almost just behind the locker room, behind closed doors, and they settle it amongst themselves. We saw with this road trip that it was them really coming together as a team and just getting wins together. Now this is when you fortify that and get your playmakers all on the same page. You get your leaders all clicking and making sure that they're playing up to the standard, especially when you look at Petey's standard as well. His standard is very high. He exploded onto the scene when he came over in North America, and he has continued to just do that. We saw in the past 2 seasons what production he was putting up. Last season, the season before that, breaking over into 102 points. So we know that Petey's capable of this. We know that clearly there is something up with him. It's not like he just fell off and forgot how to play hockey. Hockey is not something that you just forget to do as an athlete. We see guys who are retired just playing beer league hockey, undressing guys as if they just had no chance at all. So it's one of those things where it's like riding a bike. It's one of those foundational things where you don't just suddenly magically not know how to play hockey. Petey knows how to play a hockey, obviously. It's just a matter of finding that young Petey, that spark, that just one little thing that can get him going, where we see the old Petey. We've seen him crack a smile a few times, but for the most part, it's just looked like his dog's been taken out to pasture and he just has that blank stare. We saw that in the media day last season when he faced the music of the media and just took all those questions. But this is something where Petey needs to get going. He needs to get back to how he used to play. I don't think that Petey's gone. I definitely agree with Elliotte. He's in there somewhere. And I think Quinn Hughes and JT Miller are going to be the ones to bring it out. I absolutely have the confidence because I think JT Miller and Quinn Hughes are the perfect leaders where they can bring the certain amount of tough love and also rational and just motivational love as well. So I think that's going to be exactly what Petey needs. But what do you guys think down in the comments? Have you given up on Petey, or are you still holding out faith that he's going to get back to the Petey that we know and love? We'd love to hear what you guys have to say, but that's going to take us into our second topic of the day, which is Tocchet himself speaking on Petey. So he spoke to the media on Thursday after practice saying, I think everyone knows what we've got to get him. You got to get him to move his feet. And when he has the puck to make some plays, in the sense of, I don't care if he makes a mistake. It's about being more aggressive. I think a lot of times when he's standing around, he gets in trouble. That's the mental part. We've got to keep working with him. We always talk about it here, especially this market. You've got to block out the noise. We know that Vancouver is a loud market. They will let it be known if they are unhappy. They will let it known if you are not playing up to a standard. And Tocchet understands that. He goes into that in depth where there's different parts of this with Petey. It's not just a simple thing of getting him back on track. There's multiple elements to it. There's the mental part, there's the physical part, and then there's the outside part of it as well, where the fans and the media are also doing things as well. So this is something where Tocchet knows this is going to be a 3-headed monster to tackle. All you got to do, just do one little thing right, and it leads to a bunch of other things clicking together. That's all you got to do. It's just like in football. It's just like in hockey. You just need one thing to go right, and then a bunch more things can go right. And before you know it, you're tackling the big things as if you were never even thinking about them. So that's definitely the key that I think Vancouver is going to take going into this, and especially looking at their next 10 games as well. There's definitely some games that they can put the beat down on some teams. They're going to close out those next 10 games against Chicago, who they just put the beat down on. San Jose, hopefully we can just wash them up the ice. Edmonton, I know that's going to be one that everyone's going to be watching. Everyone's going to be interested to see. Also, the revenge game against Calgary. We want them bad. We want to destroy them. And then there's also some statement wins we could make. We got the New Jersey game where we're going to see all the Hughes brothers all out in action. Quinn versus his 2 brothers. So that's going to be awesome to watch, just coming up in 2 more games after the Pittsburgh games. But what do you guys think down below of Tocchet's comments? What do you guys think is going to be the resolution of fixing this Petey problem? Love to hear what you guys have to say down in the comments. But that's going to take us into our final topic of the day, which is comment of the day. And we see here from the Moon 6869 that Garland and Joshua got in at training camp last year, and look at the end result. Top line in the game. Definitely the best third line in the game, bar none. So yeah, this is a thing where if this is the spark that gets Petey going, this is the spark that just brings these 3 leaders back together stronger than ever before. That's going to be the thing for Vancouver to look at going forward. And that's why this is something that I don't think people need to look at as a negative. This is something where tough love is sometimes what you need to get going. And this is an organization where they're not going to sugarcoat anything for anybody. We've seen it happening around the league now too. Boston, Toronto, where coaches are just going to give tough love to their players and expect their players and their leaders to give tough love to the players that need to get going. And that's why we love this sport. That's why we love hockey. And that is why we love this Vancouver Canucks team and the mentality that they have going forward. But what do you guys think about all of this down below? Would love to hear what you guys have to say. But that's going to do it for this episode of Canucks Digest. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you don't miss any updates, especially if it's Elias Pettersson related. But that's going to do it for today. I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.